in my code. For example, right here in my validator. So I called this DDL%. Somebody accidentally had DLL%. So simple typo, simple mistake. The problem is now, in my web.config, we've said custom errors, the mode is on. So I'm not going to see any error message anymore. When I load this page, whoops, I did it in the wrong place. Actually, let's say in this validator, I mistyped the name of my text box. So this should crash my page. When I go to here, it is the tip page. Thank you. Mind you, my range validator is gone from. Oh, I think I deleted. Yeah, okay. My range. I deleted the wrong thing. So when I go to tip now, okay. I need to break something. Wow, I have those days I can't get anything right. Today I can't break anything. Okay, so the problem is web.config doesn't show me the error anymore. Why? Because we've added custom errors. We've said mode equals on. So now we can't see what's wrong. So we generally don't want to add this until our application is complete and everything's working. But if I want to see the error message, if I just change this temporarily from on to off, now when I reload my page, I'm going to see the error message so I know what to fix, right? This ID is wrong. I need to go in and fix that. So I go back to tip, I fix my error, save my change, come back and check my form again. So once I'm happy the errors are gone, then I can add re-enable custom errors mode is on. Now, actually, sorry, I should break it one more time. If there is an error in my application, we also want to have a global error handling page. We had this in our PHP applications, right? We don't want users to see when something goes wrong that we didn't handle. We don't want to show them this. We want to show them an error page that looks kind of like our 404 page. So let's create a generic error page. We'll look at how to set up web.config to use it, and also how we can use try catch to go to our error page. So in my project, I'm going to add, once again, because I already added it today, it shows up in my list. I want to add a web form with a master page. So we're going to build our generic error page. So we're adding a web form with a master page. We'll call this error. And it uses our site master, like everything else. And we'll just put on a heading and an HTML message. Nothing fancy, just a general generic error page like we did in PHP. Uses our template. So now in that custom errors tag we already have in web.config, we just need to add an attribute that says when an error happens, if it's not 404, load this page instead. We've added a new form, so we need to build our solution. So we really don't have much here. It's pretty simple. So now go back to your web.config, put your cursor into that custom errors tag that says mode equals on, and hit a space, and you're going to find the attribute we're going to need, the property we need to set of that tag. What other property do we need to add to our custom errors tag so that it will load this page? We don't need to add, so inside of web.config, in custom errors, so this is a generic error handler. We need to pick one of these properties. Which property we want to set, Rob? You got it. So I'll just double click default redirect. So this is our default. This is what will load on any error except 404 gets handled by our 404 page. So this is kind of what we set up, what we were doing in PHP, but we didn't have this ability to do this simple ability to add a global error handler in PHP. So to check this, how this works, go back to your tip page and change the ID on one of your validators to something that isn't valid. Assign it to a control ID that doesn't exist. So it's supposed to say TXT amount. I just called it TX amount, which should create an error. So now I can browse around Hello Works. Lists gives me 404, and tip now takes me to the error page. So I don't get that yellow error screen showing the user what's wrong. We get this instead. Now, can and should we only rely on this to do all of our error handling? Probably not. We should probably still use try-catch blocks because we may not always need to take the user to the error screen. Let's add a try-catch block here just in case so we know what it looks like. So here's our calculator. We add, just like in PHP, a try. We wrap this whole section in a try. You catch an exception, E. And we could just simply redirect the user. Whoops, that should be error. If we wanted to, we could email ourselves the error. I'm not going to set that up for today. But we could send ourselves a notification with information about that error. I believe we did that in PHP. So now if something goes wrong in our code, again, the user gets our error page. So I've put the entire block of code that was here before inside of our try. And we also have the ability, if you want to throw an exception or finally do advanced error handling, it's all here. So I'm going to put that back. So the tools we have in ASP.NET, similar to what we had in PHP, we have try catch within inside individual functions. We have 404, and we have this global error handler in our web.config. Yep, all I did was add that part in blue to the custom errors tag that we already added earlier for 404.
When we're using the catch in this way, do we have to add the error variables if we're not going to use it, or can we just put exception in there and then be correct?
Very good question. I've never written one without the catch. Let's try it.
Yeah, just remove the error variable and just add exception.
No, it's expecting something.
Okay, so
It's expecting a parameter of type exception. And we can trap for specific types of errors, specific types of exceptions, which some programmers feel is very important. It's up to you if you do it, or whether you just want to catch anything that happens. So we can do this. Matt, I'd said to you, we could do it in code in C# as well in global. I think I'm going to exclude that. For the purposes of this course, this is probably sufficient. Setting up 404, setting up a global handler in web.config and using try catch. If you want to try and implement something a bit more advanced, I'm going to show you a link I've posted on Blackboard. You're free to explore it on your own and try and implement it. So let me just go into weekly learning. Oh, I already had it open. So inside of lesson 5, there's a tutorial here from Microsoft about exception handling. They've already included most of the things we've done. So using a custom error page with a default redirect, using a status code 404. The big thing this tutorial misses is they don't explain 404s when we have no extension or some extension besides ASPX. So we've added that. Here's the code for global error handling in your C#. And this goes in a file, global file we create called global asax.cs. There's no page, it's just a global code file, like a global module. And in here, there's an application error method. So what should the site do if there's any unhandled error? So we get the last error, and if it hasn't been handled, we can redirect to our error page. Yeah, so in most applications I build, I do try catch. I do the custom errors in web.config, and I'll show you, I also will build that in my global error handler. And I also have it set to email the errors to me. So what this might look like, let me open one. Oops. I'll open one and show you. So I add lots of error handling. So here's web.config. This is a real application. It's very old. Maybe my local copy may not have the error handling. Yes, this is my local copy. I've set it, I've turned off the error handling so it crashes. Let me pick a different one. This one should have all of these error handlers. Maybe I have it here. Let's see what error handler is here. So here's web.config. I guess I've turned it off here as well. Let's find one where I actually have done it all. Sorry, as that loads, here's this error logging module, just going through it. So we can do page levels with try catch or code level error handling with try catch. We can check for different exceptions. Here's this error logging support. We can add a package to our code, and they actually explain how to do this if you want to go through this. And this package is called, where is it? Down at the bottom of this tutorial. They call it ELMA, Error Logging Modules and Handlers. So they show you, you install this as a package into your solution. It's free, it comes with Visual Studio. You browse for ELMA and you install it. And then whenever an error is generated, it automatically builds an error log for you. Shows you the error code, the error message, the date, time. This stuff is automatically built and plugged into your solution. It's kind of neat. You can explore it on your own. It doesn't send email. I'm trying to find you an example of an actual solution where I'm doing this. This is the last one I'll check for. Okay, so I didn't do it in web.config, but I think I set it up here in global. So here's our C# code. Yeah, so there's the code. I've just commented it out on my local version. Here's the C# version of the generic error handler. Get the last error, and then I have a method that sends me that error. Sends me the error message, the date, the time, any information in the form or in the query string. And it emails those to me. So here's the here's my function that sends me an error with all of the information about that. So whenever an error happens on this site, it automatically sends me an email right away and gives me all of those details. So you can set that up as well. So this little tool for Microsoft, it doesn't include email notifications. It just creates a page with, it creates a log for you of the errors. So again, it's just a plugin. You can add it to any Visual Studio solution. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to put this code up on GitHub and on Azure. Now you can actually publish straight to Azure right from Visual Studio, and you can skip GitHub, but it's not a great idea. It's probably best to put the code on GitHub. So when I created this solution, I said add it to source control, but I haven't created a repository on GitHub yet. And I know, Gerbej, I promised you a copy of it. You're about to get it, okay? So please go to GitHub. And Rob, can you repeat what you said about the GitHub student pack?
You can add your student email to your main GitHub and then go to GitHub.student or to the student and then select your student email when you're signing up for the student pack.
Okay, so you don't have to create a new account for the student pack to get the private repositories. Just add your student address to your existing account. And then you go to education.github.com and sign up. They say that it usually happens pretty much right away. Yep. Right, okay. So that's what Rob was saying. Yeah, you don't need a separate account. You just add your student email to your existing GitHub account. That works to give you access to private repositories. So I'm going to create a new repository for today and call it COMP2084. Week 5. I'm going to put in a description. I noticed I was looking for my exception handling code last night and realized how annoyed I was at myself at not putting in a description for my repositories. I'm clicking on lesson 1. Is it in lesson 2? Is it in lesson 3? Good idea to put in a description. I'll create this. I'll just make this repository for class public so everybody can access it. So just click on create. Now, there's a couple of different ways we could put this code on GitHub. We could open a command prompt and we could just follow those commands, but Visual Studio actually makes this quite easy for us. I'm just going to copy the link to my repository. It's copied, it's on my clipboard now. When I created my solution, I made sure to check off the little box that says add solution to source control. If you didn't do that, you can add your solution to source control now. You select your solution, you right click, and if you didn't already do it, you should have an option here that says add solution to source control. If you don't see it, you've already added it to source control and you're fine. So now we need to open a new little window here that lets us connect with GitHub. Anybody remember what the tool is that lets us work with GitHub? We needed to download the extension, but once you've downloaded the extension and you already have it. Yeah, so we want to go to View, to the Team Explorer, which now opens up here. And if I click on Changes, here's all the new files. So it's asking me to put in a message. So end of week 5. Once I put in a message, notice this button is enabled. Don't click it. Don't click Commit All. Click Commit All and Push. This makes a commit and we'll try to upload to GitHub. So I'll click Commit All and Push. Now it tried, it made the commit, but it says there's no remote repository. So we haven't connected this project to my week 5 repository on GitHub. So if I just scroll down a little bit here, no remote configured, establish the remote by publishing to the URL of an empty repository. So I'm going to click on that little get started. And then it pops open a little text box. Now I can right click and paste. So that's the URL to my GitHub repository. And now I just need to click the publish button that appears. So that message goes away. I'll go back here and see if my code is uploaded. It's all here. So getting your code to GitHub is through Visual Studio is as simple as that. Use Team Explorer, changes, do a commit and push, and then paste in the URL to your repository. If I make other changes, so now it says 3 commits. I'll make one change here. So maybe in my title, on my site master, doesn't really matter what I change. I'll just add this. So now to make a new commit, I don't have to connect it to GitHub. It's already connected now. But I'll just click Changes. Changed title on master page. I'll choose Commit and Push. It says pushing the current branch and it's done.
So when you just hit commit, does Visual Studio store it locally?
When you hit commit, yes, it makes a new commit on your machine, but it doesn't copy it to GitHub. You then have to click the sync button or push. So the easiest thing is just click commit and push, and it does both processes with one button click. So now it's 4 commits, and I have my new title. So now my code's on GitHub. So now we want to get it on Windows Azure, so it's actually running in the cloud. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to put it on Azure, and then for students who don't have an Azure account, we'll need to talk about how you get one. Okay, I am recording this so you can watch the video. So to log into your Azure account, for those of you who have them, it's probably a good idea, maybe a good idea to go into an incognito or a private tab, because it's already going to be signed in with your Georgian email. So the URL is portal.azure.com. And you'll need to sign in with your Microsoft account that you used last semester. So probably you have a personal Live ID, Hotmail, or Outlook, you'll use that. It's not your Georgian account. So sign into your portal. Again, I am recording this. It'll just take a second, then I'll try and get our students who don't have Azure set up. Okay. So if we click on the new button, for those of you who already have an account, you click on web and mobile. So this should be basically the same as what you did with Tom. And choose web application. Give it a unique name. I'll call mine COMP2084 week 5. And it probably says your subscription is DreamSpark. For the new students that they've changed the name, when we set yours up, it's going to say Imagine instead of DreamSpark. Same program, free hosting for Microsoft hosting for students, but it's a new name. If you pick use existing, I already have a COMP2084. If you don't have this option, just under create new, create a resource called COMP2084. Pick your location as Central Canada. And this app insights, we don't need this. You can select that, make that off. So give it a name. Either use an existing resource if you have one, or create a new one. You can choose pin to dashboard, just so you get a little icon on the main screen if you choose that. And then I'll say create. That doesn't like that one. It's not available. Okay, now that name's available. Someone else already has COMP2068 week 5. Someone beat me to it. So I'll create this, which will create a blank web application. There won't be anything here except a little blue HTML page. So it takes a minute to deploy, and then we're going to connect our GitHub repository up here. So I have a blank site. I can click on this and it will open. This is just a static HTML page. So now we want to link our GitHub repository in. So over here on the left, there's a link that says deployment credentials. I'm going to click on that. No, I don't want that option. Sorry, I'll try the quick start. Might be under deployment options. So now it says choose your required settings. I'll click that. and it asks, where do you want to deploy it from? So let's choose GitHub. And now we need to log into our GitHub account. So it's asking, does Azure have permission to access our GitHub repositories? So I just click authorize. It asks me to log in. So am I giving access? I'll say yes. And I'll click authorize. Now I click OK. And now it says, okay, what GitHub repository contains the code? So there's my week 5. What branch? Well, there's only the master branch. So I'll just click OK. So now my Azure account is connecting to my GitHub repository. It's going to pull all my code. And it says it's been successfully set up. Cool. Now I can go back here. Maybe. Let's go back here. And now our little Visual Studio solution. Including our 404, it's all here. So our site's live and online, running in the cloud. So when you submit your assignment, what I would like is simply the link to your homepage and the link to your private repository. That way, I'll mark them faster. I don't have to download the code. Okay. Now, the way the deployment works is it automatically checks GitHub every 60 seconds for a new version. So if I change something, I'll change this back. If I go and say I made a new change, changed master title again, I'll commit this and push it to GitHub. It pushed it. And now if we see my Azure panel, maybe activity. It should actually shows us somewhere, I'm not sure where, but now if I just refresh, my title changed, right? Yeah, there is somewhere in here that will show me all of the deployments. So as soon as I made that change on GitHub, Azure now shows the new version. So for students from CIIS, here's the process of getting your Azure account set up. I suggest you open a new private window in your browser. Okay. The first thing you want to do in there is go to imagine.microsoft.com. And as you scroll down, you're going to get this link that says Activate Azure. Now it will say, sign in to download. Oh, probably. Sorry. You know what? I need another private window. Here's the process. Sorry, we'll start again. It's actually probably easier if you go to your live.com account first. So go in a private window to live.com, sign in with your regular Microsoft account, not your Georgian account. So your Hotmail, your Outlook, or your Live account that you use for personally. So sign into that account so Microsoft has identified you and knows who you are. Then if you open a new tab and go to imagine.microsoft.com, this is their program for students. They used to call it DreamSpark. They've recently changed the name to Imagine. You scroll down to this Explore the Cloud section and click Activate Azure. You probably have a, you have a button here that says Verify Now or Register. So if you click that Verify Now, I can't do it because I already have an account. It'll ask you, there'll be a form, and it will ask you for your first name, your last name, the name of your school, and your student email and when you're graduating. Gerbej, is that what you see? Similar form to that? Okay. So fill out that form that asks you for that information. So put in Georgian College as your school, put in your graduation date as, you can put it in the end of 2017 as your graduation date, and make sure you use your Georgian email, but not the email. You need to use the email like this. Your email needs to use this format. It's our old student format, which is like this. It's your student number, your 9-digit student number at student.georgianc.on.ca. Because those are the emails that Microsoft recognizes for this process. So you have to use that format on the email box, not your first name dot last name at mygeorgian.ca. If you use that, Microsoft will say, we don't recognize you as a student. Sorry, no account for you. So go through the verify process, that page, put in your student email this way, and Microsoft will send you a link that proves you're a student and you have that account. Once you have that account, it should walk you through the rest of the setup. Okay, but this is how you tell Microsoft that you're a student, and they should give you access this way. So that's the process. It is free. It's a very expensive service that they give to us for free as Georgian students. So we want to use it to run our ASP.NET. Okay, so please try this process. If you have issues with it, you can come see me, make an appointment during office hours over the next few days, and I'll help you get set up. Okay. And Gerbej, I also would like to try your very strange repository. So send me your link, please, and try mine, and we'll see if mine works on your computer, and I'll see if yours works on my computer. We'll try and figure out what's going on there. Okay, I'm going to stop my stream. So that's it for today. So assignment 1, remember, is due next Wednesday night, and we will have lab 2 in class next week, due next Friday night.